Can you hear me now?
Yes, Paul, we could hear you, but of course there was a lot of echo. You're on mute, Paul.
Hello.
If you have a headset, it might prevent the echo.
Chaitanya, can you hear me?
Yes, Shailesh, I can. There was a little bit of echo, but yours was much better than Paul.
Can you hear me?
Paul, can you sign off and sign in again? We've run into this before. That may help.
We are dialing in again from different systems.
Who started the conversation? Paul, Shantanya, Shailesh?
I think Shailesh is the host, or maybe Paul.
Shailesh, can I help you? So you can set up who can be muted and who can speak. And if you set everyone to mute, then we might stop the feedback and Paul may not get the echo.
I don't know
try
if
that.
he-
Yeah, the admin account has been given to Adam.
But I think it's just a problem on their end, right? When you and I are talking, I don't hear any echo. Yeah, so it's probably some double or triple dialing in from their end, looks like.
Ted Warner is not muted. Steve Pierce is not. SQLE. Shatwank.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
We're good to go?
Yep.
Thank you for your patience. We've had a little technical problem, as I'm sure you all know by now, but hopefully our presentation will be good enough to make everyone forget. Anyways, thank you for joining us tonight. This is the IM3 NY Community Forum and Dialogue. We're operating under the banner tonight of a future that belongs to all of us, and our intent is to open a dialogue and a continual forum with the people who we impact with on a regular basis, and we want to spend some time talking to you about what we're all about. So, welcome, and hopefully you'll enjoy our presentation tonight. A future belongs with all of us. When we talk about all of us, we're talking about the community at large in the Binghamton, Endicott area. We're talking about the stakeholders we work with every day. We're talking about the employees we have now and the employees that we will have in the future. We're talking about all the suppliers that we've worked with to the point where we are now, and all of those suppliers we'll work with in the future. And importantly, we're also talking about our OEM development partner, our customers, our people, the people who will be buying our products and showcasing them around the world. So, building a future where we all want to be is what we're trying to accomplish, and we want to speak to you about that tonight. Our agenda tonight falls under the label of the T3 Advantage. It's a program that we've been using internally to help people understand what IM3 is all about, and we decided to cast that onto the presentation tonight. So we'll have three presenters tonight. The three T's are team, technology, and timing, and we are deeply rooted in all of them. Shailesh Opreti, our chairman, will be speaking about team, our commitment to the mission, our deep roots in the community so far, and also building in Endicott. Chaitanya Sharma, our CEO, will be talking about technology. Our local R&D leads to world-class products that meet global needs and how we've accomplished that so far. He'll be talking about our manufacturing process, and he'll power the future product evolution. Bill Shannon, our COO, will be talking about timing. He'll be talking about the market and how it's growing. He'll talk about production on a global basis and how it's underserving that market. And then he'll also spend some time talking about the work that we've done to date and how we're poised to move forward. At the end of our program tonight, we'll be talking or we'll be asking for your questions and giving our answers. We've already received some questions from the audience at large via the website, so we'll be introducing some of those. And we'll also be opening it up for some dialogue to follow, allowing people to make comments as they see fit. So with that, I'd like to turn it over to Shailesh. Shailesh, thank you.
Thanks, Paul. Appreciate your introduction. Hi, everyone. Myself, Shailesh, and I would like to give you a little background about who we are, how the company started, our roots here in Binghamton, and some of the technical development that we have been doing in last 8 to 9 years. So from the beginning, at the core of innovation, the greener part of it, the cost aspect of it has been always the focus, with the aim that we will be building a sustainable future together. Especially IM3 New York, which is evolving as a manufacturing technology company, both in the battery design and production processes, also in advancing the chemistry and the technology itself, and then lead the standard in performance and environmental impact. Our batteries have been evaluated by third-party agencies, and we are proud in saying that today we are the cleanest battery that exists in the market. With that, we would like to scale that technology right here in Endicott. This technology was born here, has been brought up here so far. It's a 10-year journey, and typically in this industry, 10 to 15 years is a common practice. So all the way from raw material to production to qualification with the OEMs. So with that, let me just give you a quick overview about why New York. Of course, we were born here, so we love this space. We wanted to scale this technology right here. But there are many reasons. It's not just about we loving this area. I think it makes perfect sense to build this business here because we got all different ingredients that you can imagine you need to build a business around. Be it the existing infrastructure in Endicott. I think everyone knows that we are setting up this plant in Huron campus that has a wonderful state-of-the-art manufacturing capability infrastructure. We also got a very solid supply chain. I would be talking about some of the key components that we use in battery manufacturing, and two of them are coming from the New York State itself, which means almost 50% of the cost of the battery raw material is developed right here in New York State. Not by us, but by our suppliers, which are very reputed companies. We also feel that the downstream, which is the market side, be it electric car manufacturer or grid manufacturing companies, solar, wind, our location here gives us good access to Middle East, European market, also Latin America. I would also like to highlight the strategic nature. This particular industry, the green industry, has been focused for the government, be it the federal or the state. There has been priorities to install solar and wind across the state. And when we talk about the intermittent energy sources, lithium-ion batteries become very, very important to fill the gap between demand and supply. So, of course, New York State has its own very ambitious target, which is reaching 50% renewable by 2030, and we want to lead that on the storage side. Now, not to mention, I'm sure everyone in the audience will agree and have seen the extensive technology development infrastructure that exists around here. Binghamton University is the best example. Also the brilliance, the mind that we need to, whether it's on the business side or growing a new manufacturing capability. So with that, I would be highlighting some of these features in the next slides, but not to mention New York is known as a financial hub. This industry is very capital intensive, lot of investment needed to build the infrastructure. So having that access, whether it's the family offices, whether private equity or other strategic partners, is very, very important. So we feel like we are at the right spot at the right time. So let me walk you through some of the history and why Endicott of course, New York is a big state. So why Endicott within New York? Let me give you some more reasons around that. So Paul, if you could go to the next slide. A quick background, as you may be aware, and you may already know that we were born and brought up here, as I mentioned earlier. Binghamton University is our home. We still are part of the Kaufman incubator. In fact, 3 of us are sitting inside the incubator right now, Paul, me, and Bill. So this incubator was established to bridge the gap between academic research and business. I would say there are a lot of mentors here that help startups and companies to grow their journey in a meaningful way, taking technologies to market and bring a lot of potential on the business side. But for this particular industry, I'm talking about the energy storage and lithium-ion batteries, our innovation happened here we use a lot of infrastructure that exists within Binghamton University and the New York Research Foundation. And a good part of that infrastructure is supported by NYSERDA, also supported by federal government, whether it's DOE under different programs like Nexus, which is Northeast Center for Chemical Energy Storage, that is headed by Professor Stan Whittingham, who also won the Nobel Prize for his invention of lithium-ion batteries. So as you see, I have mentioned a few facilities, I3IP, CAM, Nexus, and our parent company, the technology partner C4V, that has been working for last 9 years to convert that molecule into a product and eventually use in a machine. And that journey takes a lot of efforts, a lot of time. We have several PhDs and masters working, for last several years to build not only the product, but processes, the supply chain and designs, and eliminate all possible risks. So millions of dollars have been invested. We have some strategic partners from overseas that are also part of our project here, primarily from Australia. And they bring a lot of capabilities on the raw material side as well, adding value to our supply chain. So we feel we have reached the last mile, what you need to establish a large industry. I would call it, it's not a beginning of a factory, but beginning of an industrial cluster. We have several companies, 60 plus part of that cluster today. Those 60 plus companies, at least 25 of them make multi-billion-dollar revenues, and they are feeding us materials today. And as we give and as we scale our business, we anticipate that they will be part of our community. So it's a part of a bigger vision. Always we have to take one step at a time. We have been running late, as you may already realize. I did a community event about 2 years back, and back then we announced that we will be in production by 2019, towards 2019 end. We are almost 24 months late in our plan, but I'm sure you understand we are a startup. We are not a big brand. We have invested a lot of capital, 10 plus million capital has been invested within just last 18 months itself. But today where we stand, I think we have made a lot of progress behind the scene. We have all the production machinery on floor today in Endicott. We have completed our detailed design engineering work, and I think we are very, very close to the production beginning. And we are in the final phases of negotiating our financing. We anticipate that Q1 next year, we will basically start the commissioning work in Endicott. Next slide, Paul, if you could. So let me give a quick overview, and I'm sure Chaitanya will highlight some of these in detail, and Bill will be also mentioning about how the supply chain and some of the raw material is where it is coming from. But if we look at a battery or a lithium-ion cell in principle, which is the basic ingredient of a battery, which is what we are producing here, we are not really aiming for large batteries to be produced at this stage. Our production output will be these cells. As you can see, they are either in cylindrical shape or a box, we call it prismatic shape. And these are the cells. They are 200 watt-hour size, very small size. And there are 4 components that go inside a cell. These 4 components control 80% of the cost and also majority of the performance. Pretty much all the performance, whether it's a playtime of the battery, the safety aspect of it, the green manufacturing aspect of it, the overall cycle life, the calendar life of a battery, everything is connected to these 4 key components. Out of these 4 key, 2 were invented right here in our community. And on top of that, the remaining 2 are also produced here in the US. So we can say, our key components are all manufactured in the US. So we have eliminated our dependency, and it has been, again, many years of work. It didn't happen overnight. And this is all stabilizing the supply chain, qualifying component. It takes 3 to 4 years to qualify these components. So all I'm trying to say is, while the majority of the components are manufactured here in the US, which itself is a unique thing because there's no factory today. I mean, the largest factory in the US is Tesla. We're going to be the second largest after Tesla. And a lot of those raw materials are coming from overseas. So we're talking about the key component are manufactured in the US. and on top of that, 2 of them were invented right here in the region. So with that, I would like to highlight some more features in the next slide about how we are putting this 60 people, 60 companies together, along with a very talented team that I would like to formally introduce today to the community. And of course, there are many more behind the scene that we can't bring everyone here today, but hopefully, as everyone will be working inside that factory in Endicott, so you would be able to meet, and many of us would be in the neighborhood pretty much daily basis. So we call it a very cohesive and consistent approach to build smart machines. We actually not calling it a factory. We would like to call it a machine. It's a big, gigantic machine that has many different arms and legs. We need to put it together, make sure they are synchronized, and they are becoming the best factory ever anyone has built. And Chaitanya will be talking about that, how we are achieving that, what we have done so far to achieve that, who our partners are from technology perspective, from science perspective. We know how we have eliminated all the risk associated, but most importantly, the environmental aspect that I'm sure everyone is anxious to hear about. So if you look at, we see there are many factories that are built in America, but they are either doing one part of the production or one feature or one component and not really bringing the entire value. They are either headquartered in UK or in Singapore. So we are proud in saying that we are not only invented here, not only we will be setting up this factory, all our operation, be it the sales and marketing, be it our HR, be it accounting, everything will be done right here in Endicott. So we will be creating jobs in every possible vertical you can think of that you need to build an organization. So all that is meaningless if you can really have the right team to pull it together. So we have spent last 24 months to identify the top leadership. They all come from very impressive background. So I would like to introduce you to Chaitanya Sharma, who is leading the project as CEO. By far, he's the expert in this field because he was the first engineer that Tesla hired to build their factory. And by the time he left, it was already at 16 gigawatt hour, which is 16 times the factory size we will be building. So he has done it once. And he comes with extensive engineering background. So we are very, very hopeful that he will do magic here in Endicott and turn these machinery into a very functional and very profitable company that we all will be proud of. I would also like to mention that while you will see a lot of these energetic young managers and experienced manufacturing team that we are bringing, hustling around, running around, and making sure we don't leave anything untouched in terms of minimizing the risk and making sure that we make it happen here in the greenest way possible. We have a world-class advisory team, which also comprise our mentor, Professor Stan Whittingham. He would be part of our vision here. He has been very instrumental in motivating us, getting us everywhere possible in terms of the exposure to new things that you need to bring in, and also connecting us to the right people who will help us build the company. We would also like to thank Huron campus who has been very, very helpful to us throughout from the day one, despite all these delays. And I can imagine this facility is of course not fully utilized in terms of what the capabilities it has in order to deliver to a cutting edge manufacturing. I think it's the opportunity for us to really transform that real estate into a cutting edge manufacturing infrastructure. And when we say cutting edge, it's not just about robots and high tech. It's all about how we can build it for our future, and that include our daily life in the community, that include anything coming off that factory, be it the byproduct or the main product. So we also are very thankful to New York State that has blessed us every step in the process. I just want to highlight that there were many, I think I've seen at least some of the noise where people claim that we have taken a lot of public money and government money, and where are we and why we are not doing. I just want to mention that we have not withdrawn any single penny from New York State for this project. These grants and the incentives that government gives is primarily to support the economic impact, and they are always reimbursed when you make the impact. So if you don't make any impact, we don't get any money. And that money is always associated with something to achieve first, and you spend your own money, and part of it, a small fraction of it would be reimbursed. And some of that money is actually, like, for example, to train the people for 3 to 6 months. Government want us to train workforce that understand how lithium-ion battery works, and they want to be a contributor in that. So we train it, we employ it for 12 months, 24 months, and then government will say, here is your training, reimbursement. So I just wanted to at least highlight that part. So far, it's all private capital. We have raised that money. Their investor, their it's their hard-earned money that has been invested in the project. We also are very, very excited about the support we have received from Broome County, Endicott Village, their Endicott Proud group that has been very, very supportive, and there are many other groups, many community members who have helped us understand a lot of local aspect that we need to take care when we stabilize this whole ecosystem here. So with that, I would like to welcome Chaitanya Sharma to take over, and I'm sure you would have more questions for him, and we'll be happy to answer any question you will have after we finish the presentation. So Chaitanya, over to you, please.
Oh, thank you, Shailesh. And really lovely to meet you all today, although electronically, and hopefully we'll be meeting in person very soon. So today what I wanted to cover with you all is a glimpse of the philosophies that we basically have been fostering within Imperium3. And at the heart of it is technology. And it's that philosophy that actually is encouraging us to put together a world-class manufacturing entity in New York. And we actually wanted to be the gold standard, the benchmark factory that other factories would compare against. And if you actually think about it, it's very fundamental to even our existence. There are players that even you might have heard of who are putting up factories like ourselves all around the world. And they are incumbents, and they have more access to capital and a little more establishment. And so in order for us to be able to compete with them, we have to really outshine them on technology. And so that is a core philosophy of ours that we are very proudly developing. These incumbents actually, they have been putting up a lot of factories, no doubt, but to borrow actually a phrase that my good friend Shailesh uses, they have been building what we call brand new old factories. And let me just take a minute to explain what that means. So if you look at this industry, there's been actually a lot of development in the fundamental lithium-ion technology from its inception, maybe around the 90s to today. The cell technology has seen quite a lot of improvement, which is really awesome. But we don't really see that much improvement coming from the actual manufacturing process. When you make these cells, those processes, for one reason or the other, have not really seen tremendous improvement. And so what happens with that is that these brand new old factories, they tend to create a lot of scrap. And that's just, a lot of raw materials, but a lot of environmental impact that scrap causes. And so we have no intention of doing that. We want to be very efficient, very optimized. So right from how Shailesh has developed his fundamental technology from molecules to machine, we really want to think through every component that go inside our cell, every process that we put in on our factory floor, and make sure that we can optimize it significantly such that we can be the most efficient factory that there is out in the world. And certain new age tools that are available today for manufacturing through artificial intelligence, machine learning, I'm pretty sure all of you have heard about those. We intend to utilize those tools as a way to get a lot of data coming out of our factory, which will then allow us to optimize these individual processes first themselves, and then as a complete line, ultimately ensuring those high yield numbers that we are really after. One other idea that we had was that we wanted to develop a virtual reality based training program for for our staff, such that they can be trained on utilizing the tools even before they step foot on our factory floor, such that they are ready to go right when they enter the factory floor. And I'm particularly excited because on that little project, we were actually able to find a company that is out of Binghamton University, which may very well be the partner that we develop this program with. And that gives us a lot of excitement and hope to be working with them together. So that I definitely wanted to highlight. One other thing that I would say I'm particularly proud of, and it's not something that I take credit for, but ultimately our batteries are the greenest in the world, as Shailesh has alluded to. And part of that is from the advancements that we are making in our processes, but also a large part of that comes from our amazing supply chain partners, which Bill in the subsequent slides would talk about. But many of these partners are here in the US and particularly in New York. And they have actually done a wonderful job in allowing us to be that green, such that our life cycle carbon footprint is 80% lower than our competition. And that's a study that NYSERDA actually funded and quantified for us. So that really makes us very proud and very happy on the technology that we are developing from our Imperium3 venture. You can go to the next slide, Paul. So let me just take you through what really constitutes lithium-ion cell manufacturing. I think it's we're obviously talking about the technology, so it only makes sense for all of us to be on the same page on really what it entails. So at the very highest level, you can break the cell manufacturing process down into 8 fundamental steps. The first step is what's called mixing. So that's essentially you bring in your raw material, which very much comes in several different powder forms. And then you just create your mixtures for your formulations. You use some sort of a solvent to sort of, get them mixed. And then what you create from that step is a slurry, which is very much like a paste, which you then put on top of a metal substrate. So you have a positive and a negative terminal inside a battery. So you have 2 different substrates, and you coat your material on those substrates. After that, you essentially cut them to the right size, the kind of cell that you're making. Shailesh was highlighting the different, form factors, cylindrical or prismatic. So you essentially take that substrate, cut it into the right shape and size. Then you assemble it together into the cell, and then you insert it into the physical housing that keeps that cell together. So by the time you're at step 5, you have a physical cell into which you then fill something called an electrolyte. And that essentially is a medium that allows for ions to move, but in simpler terms, it basically allows for energy to flow in and out of the cell. So that is what makes your cell now complete after you finish step 6. Once that cell is complete, now you're basically ready to bring it to life, and that is what formation means. So you form the cell, you basically charge and discharge it for the first time. And once you've gone through that cycle, then you put it on a shelf and let the chemistry settle down, and that's called aging, and that really makes the cell ready to be used by the customers. Why it was important to, I guess, walk everybody through the process is for folks to be on the same page, but also I wanted to highlight that all these different processes, as I mentioned in my previous slide, are well understood by the industry, but for whatever reason, people have not taken the time to optimize them, to think about them. A lot has gone into developing newer powders, newer mixtures, but for some reason or the other, not on the process. And we really feel very proud that we've took the time not only to develop our powders, which Shailesh and C4V has enabled, but also taken the time to optimize our processes. And that allows us to achieve 2 very key objectives of ours. One, obviously, we would want our product to be of the highest quality. So optimizing these processes helps us to achieve that. But also because these processes ultimately lead to environmental impacts, which is very important to us, we have optimized these processes such that our impact is the lowest that you can be at. And through this project, of course, we've been engaging with environmental regulatory authorities and learning what the permissible limits are. But as a very socially responsible company, we really want to go above and beyond, way above and beyond, and exceed those limits, significantly. So we've been putting all the energies, our engineering brains, and also our money that we are raising to ensure that our footprint, our environmental footprint, is as low as it can be. So that is another thing that I'm super proud of, that we've been able to achieve. Next slide, Paul. So I would also like to highlight, maybe I've been talking about advancements in the processes, and maybe just wanted to give you one tangible example of what that means. So as you heard me speak earlier, there are many different kinds of cell technologies, and every day, every month you hear a new technology that gets developed and has the potential to maybe, improve the competition, if you may. And not only just, from the outside world, but even C4V themselves are several different new technologies that they're bringing to the market. And so as their manufacturing partners, we need to have the ability to take those technologies and upgrade ourselves. Pretty much like, you get software updates on your phones. We want to improve over time and be able to utilize the new technologies. Why that becomes important is because we really want to establish this partnership that we are taking, the steps with you guys today for several years, if not maybe 1 or 2 decades to come. And for us to be able to have that vision, we always need to make sure that we are relevant in the market, and we are always utilizing the newest and the best chemistries, the newest and the best technologies, such that we can always continue to be relevant and be competitive. And so with partnership with C4V, how we operate is that whenever that new technology is developed, there is a very nice sync up between the manufacturing floor as well as the technology development folks, such that we don't need to have that many changes happening on our factory floor, and sort of in a seamless fashion or in a very minimally disruptive fashion, we can upgrade to that new technology. So so that allows us to be competitive for several years, and if not a few decades to come. And we surely hope that this partnership that we establish with all of you will be fruitful for a really, really long time. So so with that, I end sort of my section, and I'll hand it over to Bill, but it was lovely to meet you guys.
Good evening, everyone. Great. I hope you guys are, or everyone here is as excited about this slide as I am. This is about our timing of entering into this market. And we're going through a period of time that I think is really an industrial revolution with the advent of the electric vehicle and the mass conversion to renewable energies that's happening in the world today. This chart here on the right shows how much lithium-ion batteries will grow over the next 10 years. I could have taken the chart out to 2040, 2050, because there's plenty of information out there about it, and it continues on this path for a long period of time. In the battery world, we like to talk about gigawatts, and I'm sure you've all heard about Tesla's gigafactory. But gigawatts are the units of power that we talk about of our production. So currently in the world today, there's about 250 gigawatts being consumed and produced in the world today. In just a short period of time, 2025, it's pushing to 700-800 gigawatts of demand. And from announcements that I've been able to gather, there are production plans, capacity announcements to increase the capacities worldwide to 620 gigawatts. So that's a tremendous amount of growth in a market. It's also a tremendous amount of growth in production for this. So, and then all of this growth is fueled by, you can see it's maybe hard to read the chart, but the blue on the bottom there, that's electric vehicles. And then we have commercial vehicles, two-wheel vehicles, and also energy storage systems. So with this said, there is a tremendous amount of demand coming on the horizon for our products. There's a tremendous amount of demand today based on how much is produced. So our timing to enter this market is phenomenal. And these numbers are fairly stable, I'll say that they're fairly safe numbers, if you will. If you look at, electric vehicles, I make a point here in one of these bullets, 10% of vehicles sold will be electric by 2025. So it's only 10% of vehicles sold. It's a relatively small percentage. But that still creates that demand on gigawatts. You look out at 2030, we're close to 2,000 gigawatts or 2 terawatts, if we dare to say terawatts, but 2 terawatts of power, battery production that will be required per year and will continue to grow. So if I look at the chart on the left here, I'm not sure how good the graphics are showing, but that's there should be a globe on my screen. I can't see it, but there, you should see the U.S. underneath these bar charts. That shows the production 2019, maybe into 2020, of what will be produced in the U.S. So Tesla, 2019, only produced 23 gigawatts. And we all know Tesla's producing maybe 400,000 cars in that 23 gigawatts. And they do have plans to grow their factory to 75. There are some other companies that are doing battery production in the U.S. LG Chem, a big Korean company that has a plant in Michigan, and they also have plans to continue to grow in the U.S. And then another Korean company called SK Innovations with other announcements. But then there's us. 2022, we will start our production. 2022, January 1st is the start of production, where we're going to be ramping up to merely only 1 gigawatt. And we have plans to go out to 2028 and beyond to take that to 30 gigawatts. So we definitely have plans to service this market. The market is there for us. There's definitely demand. And we want to do that in the US. Paul, next slide, please. So when we talk about, well, that's a lot of growth, how does that impact the local community? And what does that require? It requires people. So we need man, machines, and molecules, as Shailesh likes to say. So from the man side of the equation, by 2023, we're 2020 will be really starting our production and ramping it up to that full gigawatt by 2023. 2023 is 150 people. These are all skilled positions, very technical, automated equipment lines that we're putting in place. We need technicians, quality people, equipment technicians, engineers, maintenance, facilities, and of course, we need administrative support as well. I put it in the hash marks going out to 2028. That's to get to us to the 30 gigawatts. So we have to get through our first hurdle of getting this 1 gigawatt up and running. And from there, we have aspirations to continue the investment cycle to grow the facility in Endicott to the 30 gigawatts. Well, next. Again, I hope the graphics show. The bubble with the 94% is in the US. So this is our raw material purchases. So Shailesh mentioned our top 4 commodities that we use in battery production represent 80% of our cost, and they're all made in the US. Well, we're going to buy more stuff from the US. So 94% of our cost of our raw material purchases will come from the US. We only have a small amount of material that's being purchased from overseas, Europe and Asia. But those are materials that are not found in the US, I'll say yet. Shailesh and his team are constantly exploring the marketplace, particularly for US-based companies that can supply all of our materials. They've done a great job at getting us to that 94%, but we will be focused on bringing that to 100%. That is not just good for us, but it does help our lower our total cost footprint and making our battery a greener battery. Paul, next slide, please. So that's a little bit about people and raw materials. We also have a big project in front of us. We've got to install a lot of equipment. We have to use a lot of engineering resources. We've got to buy more equipment. And we, there again, have a US focus. So of course, C4V is our technology partner, which will be our technology partner for the long term. Primet is one of our main suppliers of the anode and cathode materials that Shailesh talked about earlier. We're using engineering partners, O'Brien and Gear out of Syracuse, Briar, a big company that our company that supplies our dry room. We're manufacturing this in a very clean room, dry room environment. So they're going to be our partner there. And then we've got our equipment. Our major pieces of equipment come from U.S. companies like IMC Machines. Jonas and Redmond, it is a German-based company, but we're supported out of their Oregon facility. Of course, Huron been an excellent partner so far in helping support our vision. Chris Pelto's on the call tonight, I saw. Thank you, Chris, for your support. And then we have the C&D Battery Technologies for some automation support as well. So with that said, I'm going to pass it back to Shailesh. Paul?
Thanks, Bill. I would like to mention a few things here before I introduce Professor Stan Whittingham, who is on the call. So my background, I mean, I've been living in upstate in Binghamton area for 15 plus years, but the reason I'm into lithium-ion batteries and chose this as a career is because of Professor Stan Whittingham. When I was graduating in India, my advisor in IIT Delhi happened to be the first student of Professor Stan Whittingham, who graduated from Binghamton University right here. So he was my first advisor. So I consider myself the third generation in lithium-ion batteries. And you know, whatever we are doing today is because of the blessings from Stan, Professor Stan and Professor A. Ramanan. So I would like Professor Stan Whittingham to say a few words and give his blessings to us. I think we are formally announcing this project, introducing all our team members. So Professor, if you could say a few words, that will really be an honor for us.
Thank you, Shailesh. So I'm talking to you from across the river in Vestal. And I look back, I've been here 32 years. And when I came here in 1988, I think IBM was overflowing Endicott and had every building they could find on the Vestal Parkway occupied as well. Then almost overnight, they disappeared. I think there's a chance now for Broome County and Endicott in particular to get in on the ground floor of a growing industry. If we don't do it, somebody else will. We have all the buildings in Endicott already there. We have capabilities, skilled workforce. We have the university. And no, we have the expertise to make these lithium batteries. They'll be used, I think, by some local companies. Places like BAE Systems import their cells from South Korea. We have the forklift company just up the road who would also like lithium-ion batteries. And clearly we're getting a lot of wind energy built in New York State and solar facilities. All these need storage. It would be great if we in Broome County and in Endicott could supply the batteries for them. As you just heard, this facility will hire a lot of well-paid folks. I think it can bring Endicott back to life, just as it was 30, 40 years ago. So no, I am encouraging Shailesh and his Imperium3 team to move ahead, and hopefully all the funding will come in, and a year from now we'll see cells coming out of Endicott with an Endicott stamp on them. I think this is a huge opportunity for everybody here, and really to get the area back on the map and to get everything thriving again. As I say, if we don't do it, others will, and it's not clear how many more opportunities there will be to get in on the ground floor of a very large expanding industry. And I'll stop there, and folks know I'm always available to answer questions.
Why can't I move ahead? Well, thank you, Dr. Whittingham. Very kind words, and thank you very much for participating with us tonight. We really appreciate that, and relish your comments and thoughts about our program. That brings to an end our formal presentation for tonight. I would like to say that I think we did a very admirable job in introducing our 3T advantage. Thank you very much, Shailesh, for taking us through the team and all the things that means to us. It was an extensive review and points to the number of people that it requires to be able to do a project like this and launch a business like this. Not only the community, but the state, all of our partners, our employees, our suppliers. It's really a terrific team, all bound together in pursuit of making a success out of this business. Titania, I think, did just a terrific job of talking about our technology, some of the exciting cutting edge technology that we're introducing to the factory floor, some of the new advances we're making in materials, trying to keep our product as clean and as green as any product in the world. And certainly we want to lead the lithium ion category in lean and green. So thank you, Chaitanya, for taking us through that. Bill, it goes without saying, great presentation on how big our market is growing, how it's growing exponentially through time, how the production worldwide is not keeping pace with that. And one of the things I think we should add to that too is, even we did see these massive projections, it's still a little bit suppressed because a lot of the volume is being consumed by these big companies in the environment or in the electric vehicle category and in the energy storage category. A lot of other devices out there want to move towards lithium ion, but they simply cannot get supply. There is not enough production in the world to be able to allow those companies to secure adequate supply for the future. So we're quite proud. If we were Elon Musk right now, we would be very loud and we'd be very proud of what we were doing, and we'd be all over the big newspapers and the global TV stations. And we want to accelerate our loudness and our proudness with where we are and what we're doing. We really have a team that believes, we're really proud of it. We want to be loud, and we really want to make it happen. So everyone participating tonight, we hope that you will be part of letting us make it happen. With that, I want to say thank you for listening. We really appreciate your presence here today. And with that, I'd like to open it up to take your questions and hear your thoughts. I think we have some questions in the chat room, and we have some questions that were handed to us before. I'm going to show off my technology skills as I make the change over to being able to read those. So bear with me if you can, just for one moment. Have we got the list of other questions, please? Here. Thank you. I'm going to read some questions off, and then I'll hand them off to the appropriate person to answer the question, but and I think we've got. Are there?
Yeah, I mean, we are trying to figure out how best efficiently we can take your questions. So we did receive few questions beforehand through our website, but I think in order to respect your time, it will be better to answer your questions in real time, right? So if anyone wants to ask question, let's maybe start. I know it's difficult to manage, but whoever want to start first, I think we should allow to do that, and then wait for other to ask. And we would like to answer those questions in real time, and then towards the end we'll answer the questions we received over the website as well.
Do we have a question from the? Well, I'm not seeing where it is.
Well, the question is, how are you same or different from Tesla?
Yes.
Do you want to take that?
Yeah, so we received the first question, how are you same or different from Tesla? So, I mean, if we look at Tesla, primarily an electric car manufacturing company, Tesla isn't really a battery cell or battery technology company. Majority of their cells are coming from Panasonic, that is controlling the manufacturing inside the Tesla factory. So half of the factory, I mean, this is public information that I'm sharing, but it's not really the cell and the chemistry and the molecule technology that we have. Neither they are using similar molecules, even though the battery and the cells coming from Panasonic, that chemistry itself is very different. There have been independent reports and studies about that chemistry, which we can talk about if needed. But our primary focus is everything upstream from cell manufacturing, and we are bringing in chemistry that is which is typically what you will find in lithium-ion batteries that Tesla uses, and has many challenges and issues with those raw materials. So hope that gives you a high-level differentiation between us and Tesla.
Okay. Bless, you'll have to put your take yourself off mute, and can you ask your question, please? Bless, you have a question. Can you take yourself off mute and ask the question, please? He's in the center of the picture and he's on mute. He's muted. There we go. Thank you. You were on mute, Bless. Thank you. Can you repeat your question? We got nothing. Les, maybe we're not hearing you. Maybe you could type your question into the chat room, and we'll be able to read it there and respond to you.
I see Bob Murphy wants to ask a question, I believe. Bob,
yes.
You can go next.
Certainly. This is Bob Murphy, Broome Tioga Workforce, New York. And I guess the question I would have is, this is very exciting. It was, both the technology and the business concepts are really exciting. What can we do, and not just, Broome Tioga Workforce, but as a community to help you, get to your goal? Or your goals, I should say.
At this point, I think where we stand, all we needed is a great motivation from the community.
Okay. So let's get loud, right?
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think there's a lot that has to happen on the execution front. Once we close the financing, we have to build the facility, which is 8 to 10-month job. And during that process, we would be hosting more of these community events. So as we progress, I think our expectations from community might change. Keep expectation might go up higher than where we are today. But at this point, I think the motivation would be a great support. And that's all we are looking at this point.
Okay. Well, I think there are a lot of people just trying to figure out how we can help. See this as a lot of great potential future for you guys and for the community. So don't be shy in asking for folks to get loud, which you're not, but anything else we can do, and that includes like job fairs or just bringing people together to understand.
Super,
Sure.
thank you.
And already we have various community members who have been interacting with us for the last several years and already contributing in many ways, by the way. So it's not just motivation. I think we are already getting more than what we anticipate.
Great.
People who are helping on different fronts. In fact, this whole community, this event was organized by volunteers who want us to proceed and progress. So much
great.
Definitely we'll get back to you.
Great.
We have another question from Craig. Paul, do you want to read it out, or you want me to?
Yeah, I'll read it out. We have a question from Craig. Thank you, Craig. Hi, please discuss how financing has progressed in the last 6 months. Shailesh, would you like to take that one again?
Yeah, I mean, last 6 months were a bit difficult, as we all know, due to pandemic. We had certainly some roadblocks. It actually started with pandemic roadblock, but eventually after a few months, we resumed the activities. And one of the lead investors that is pretty much, on board for 60 to 70% of the financing had resumed the activity, and we are at advanced stages, I would say, towards the tail end of that program with them towards closing. So last 3 to 4 months have been more active. Before that, we had to give a pause to the activities.
We had an earlier question, and maybe you'd like to just take that one too, Shailesh. And it's the question was, please explain where the funding is coming from.
Yeah, I mean, we rest assured that our majority of our funding today, the commitment that has happened is from the US investors, very reputed bank, very large bank that has committed the larger fund. Then we do have some investors from Australia who also are strategic supplier to us, and they have invested capital in past, and they have shown continued support to do that. And there are and some of them will be strategic that will be participating in this, which is the larger round of funding for us.
Great. We have another one that's come in from the chat room. Once financing is secured, can construction be completed shorter than 8 to 10 months as advisors, considering that we have the machinery, albeit in IM3 will require some adjustment to the owned machinery. I think the question, as I see it, is, will we be able to build this plant out in 8 to 10 months, as has been talked about before? Maybe Bill, do you want to take that?
Sure. Well, there's a certain amount of infrastructure that does still need to be put in place. Most of our time is being spent on the preparation of the facility. Of course, Huron has to help, is going to do some preparation work for us to even start getting in. But there's a lot of other preparation that we need to do. There is one piece of equipment. There are two pieces of equipment that we are purchasing. I mentioned the company from Ohio that makes the dry room, because it is a dry, clean room environment. Just the lead time on that equipment alone is about 10 months. So that is a limiting factor. We also have to procure another piece of equipment for the filling of the electrolyte, which is a long lead item as well. So to do it in that less than 8 to 10 months would be challenging. Certainly, Chaitanya is challenging me to do it faster than that. We do want to start producing as soon as possible. We will, as soon as we roll one cell off the line, we will, we'll be thinking about our next phase of growth and investment. So we're doing this as fast as we possibly can. We're going to bring in all the right resources to do that. But right now, to do it faster than that period of time, that will be, that's a tall order.
Thanks, Bill. Next question from the audience is, do you have any update on the BAE bus fast charging test? I'm going to turn it over to Shailesh. I think Shailesh has been deeply involved in that. What's that?
Yep. I mean, this is a funded program for demonstration of, super fast charge battery capabilities. And that project just started a few months back, and we are making good progress in there. It's a 12-month program, and at this stage, we are the early phase of that demonstration project. So we have been testing batteries in-house in C4V, and those tests have been very encouraging. We have published some of the data recently on those cell performances, but further optimization needed, and we are hoping that in 12-month time frame, we will be able to deploy that technology on a real bus and do the field. So I would say right now it's all good. Everything is looking very positive, and in a way that we would be able to deliver that in a timely manner.
Thanks, Shailesh. From Karen in the audience, we have, hi, I'm excited to hear that you are taking all necessary steps to minimize environmental impacts. Are there any risks to the community from any chemicals or reactions that are used in your process? If so, what are they and how will they be monitored? I'm going to turn it over to Chaitanya, if I can, to have him give us a first cut on that answer. But Chaitanya, can you give us some thoughts on that, please?
Yeah, and really good question, Karen. Thank you for asking. So as I was highlighting in my section, we definitely want to be, and totally it's our fundamental philosophy that we want to be very social responsible. And actually, I mean, it's honestly a win-win situation for everyone if we act in that way. So the process advancements that I was basically talking about and how they allow us to not only keep the environmental impacts, but also from a business standpoint. So the chemicals that we use, as I'd mentioned, they come in powder form, and then we make slurries and what have you. Most of those are self-contained processes, such that anything that really can be recovered, we want to recover that and feed it back into the process, which allows us to not only keep our costs down, it also allows us to keep our product be of consistent quality, because we are backfeeding things into the system. And then the environmental impacts, which are very well controlled and significantly reduced. So I can assure you there are no risks to the community. We are taking any and every precaution. We are working with the air permitting authority, and as I mentioned, their permissible limits, we are a fraction of what the allowable permissible limits are. So yeah, we take that very seriously, and will always continue to be acting in a very socially responsible manner.
Great. Thank you for the answer. We have another question coming in from a student. How many job opportunities are expected to be available to the local workforce by the end of next year, if we get past COVID, of course, and in which fields? Bill, can you give us some insights on that?
Sorry, I lost my screen.
You can look up there. It's
I'm
up there.
sorry. Okay, you can hear me. So, to get to that 1 gigawatt, I referenced earlier that it was about 151 jobs, 21 of which are administrative. So there's there's 130 jobs that are going to be required. Initially, our big push is going to be more on the engineering, equipment side, maintenance, technical side to get the equipment up and running. And then we'll be ramping up for the production support, which will still be, a vast majority more technical. We're going to be running some automated equipment. So there will be engineering and technical quality technicians, machine technicians, and operators. So that's the plan as we roll out. So early on, mostly engineering and facilities, machine technical positions, and then ramping that up to start scaling up the production support personnel.
Good answer. Thank you. Are there any other questions coming from the audience at hand? If not, I'd like to
wait.
Oh,
solid state.
There's one from Nick.
Oh, question for Shailesh. How is the solid state battery development progressing? Generation 3.1, I believe it is, or generation 3, I believe it is. Shailesh, can you take that?
Yeah. So, generation 3 product, we have already demonstrated a solid state battery, I would say about 2 years back. There's a lot of advancement that has happened on the R&D side of that technology. We are aiming that once our generation 1 is fully functional on manufacturing floor, within 18 months from that, we would make solid state be ready for manufacturing floor. There are a few things that we need to do once the floor is operational in order to actually integrate the next generation of technologies. So that definitely advancing very fast. While we have delays on manufacturing, we have really strengthened our generation 2 and generation 3 product. I also wanted to touch upon, a little bit the question Karen asked about the chemical reaction. I just wanted to, although Chaitanya, I think it's a very important question, and for the community here, it's very important to understand that when we talk about cell manufacturing, there is no chemical reaction actually happening. In chemical reaction, typically what happens, you mix A and B and you end up with C and D, and somehow C is used and D is thrown away or let go, escape away in environment. In cell manufacturing, every material that is coming in is actually used and consumed and assembled and put it in that can or a casing. So the only two areas, actually only one area that we bring a solvent and mix solids together and then coat it and let the solvent evaporate. But then that evaporation, we have to do it in a closed system so that we can capture everything back and use it again. So that's the only, I would say, process that happened. But there's no chemical reaction, there's no chemical manufacturing happening in cell manufacturing. I hope that also clarify on top of what already Chaitanya mentioned. So next question maybe now.
Great, good answer. Carol Miller is asking us about the NYSERDA report results. Who'd like to take that one? Would you like to take it again, Shailesh, or should we give that one to Chaitanya?
Chaitanya, you want to talk about it, or?
Why don't you go ahead, Shailesh? I can add to
okay.
it.
So we have basically there is a report that was published. It's called Life Cycle Assessment of a Product. So what life cycle assessment does is actually it's purely related to the environmental impact. And what you do is end-to-end, meaning if any component coming from a mine or anywhere across the world, any form, you study how much pollution it is creating, both in toxic footprint perspective and carbon footprint perspective. Then you do it for every possible component, and we use 20 components. So of course, it's done for all possible components, all 20 components we use. Then you go from upstream and walk towards downstream and all the way to the cell manufacturing. Then how much, if that battery goes in a car, and then let's say in 10 years that battery is dead, then you'll be recycling it. So end-to-end footprint was calculated. NYSERDA supported that project with an independent company called ABT, and ABT took 18 months because it's so extensive that you have to go to supplier and and all the way to the mining. And we are very proud, as Chaitanya already highlighted, that our footprint is actually 15%. We say 20, but it's exactly it's 15% off, which means 85% lower than the best battery available in the market today from globally #1 company. So that report is available. If you search a life cycle assessment and C4V, which is C as in Charlie, number 4, V as in victory, in Google, that's probably the first thing you will see. It's a long document, but talks about every step, every chemical we use, and their carbon toxic footprint, and every possible detail about it.
Good answer. Thank you very much for that. We have another question coming in from Ellen. Will there be any training classes or certifications for the equipment tech position? Do you want to take that one, Chaitanya?
Sure, yeah, I can talk about that. So as you heard, we'll talk about all the folks that we need to bring on, not only just to support our first week, but also in the future, there's lots more technicians and folks that we need to bring on. So we have been in touch with some local agencies. We've been touching with the Sunnybroom School and also certain other entities to start talking about these training classes. As I had mentioned, we also envision to have our own training programs with even that virtual reality setup that I spoke about. So I think it is very critical that that we train the people in the right way. This is going to be, precise manufacturing operations, lots of automation, but lots of precision needed. And so totally we would be engaging with the different entities as well as ourselves doing it to set up the right training procedures for folks to go through and develop those skill sets. So yeah, they very well would be.
Great, thank you, and good answer. We have a question from Jason Nixon. I think there might be more than one question in here, so if I may, I'm going to break it into maybe two and have the answers shared a little bit. The question starts off, I guess, from Bill's last comments of have these limiting factors for construction, for example, the machinery, been ordered considering the 10-month lead time? The second part of the question is, can you elaborate on progress of financing? And I'm not sure if this is, I'm mindful of the need to move production in shortest time frame for the good of investors and also jobs for the community. Bill, can we have you pick up on the first part of that question? And then maybe Shailesh, you can pick up on the second part about the financing.
Yeah, certainly. First, I have to comment on trying to squeeze the timeline to less than 10 months. This is lightning speed for this industry. If you were to order new equipment, both Chaitanya and I spent time at the Tesla Gigafactory and watching them scale up to what I shared earlier, 23 gigawatts. To get to that point, it took Tesla and Panasonic, one of the world's largest battery companies, 5 years. So if we were to order new equipment, brand new, and to install it, it's about an 18-month window to get equipment. And then it's another half a year to qualify the equipment. So our timeline is very aggressive. We are fortunate that we have a big chunk of the equipment on hand. I would say if you saw our project plan, this has been very detailed or laid out with our engineering partner, O'Brien & Gear, that there are a lot of parallel paths. There is not, I would say, one silver bullet long lead item that if we can cut that in half, we would reduce our lead time total in half. There are a lot of parallel items. So it's difficult to think about shortening this lead time from my perspective at this point in time. Yes, there are some long lead equipment, but that gives us the ability to do some of the other things that we need to do. There's a ventilation that needs to be put in for some of the equipment. We have to redo the whole electrical supply for the equipment that's coming in. There's other things that have to be constructed. Just moving the equipment and setting it in place, getting it level and connected to power will take some time as well. So this is a very aggressive timeline. I wish I could move it faster, but it's just the nature of the beast, but it is much faster than, I will say, it's much faster than how the rest of the industry is currently moving.
Sorry, Bill, if I could just add maybe 2 more cents to that. There was another part of that question, which Jason, you were asking, have we considered this into our timeline? So the answer is yes, we have. And in that lead time, by the way, there are several activities, as Bill was talking about. There is engaging with the vendors, doing the engineering work, customizing it to your needs, and finalizing the detailed drawing, and then you get to the construction period. So we have been engaged with them, and we've been working on all these different aspects up until the time that we can then pull the trigger on the final design. So yes, all of that has been factored in our timeline, and as Bill was saying, we are trying to squeeze that to as narrow as possible. But yet even 10 months is very aggressive, and we are doing our best to achieve that. Thought I'd add that. And then Shailesh, do you want to pick up the aspect about, can you elaborate on the progress on financing?
Yeah, I mean, I briefly touched upon that. So we have definitely made significant progress there. That's why we decided to even do this community forum, because we wanted to advance further in many different directions before we start delivering our message to community, and it's more advanced. So our hope is to have the construction or the commissioning work started in Q1, and that would mean that the production should start 1/1/2022. I mean, and which takes us through that development phase, commissioning, supply chain qualification, and everything. Of course, the team here is committed to make it happen earlier. So this is the first time. This is the first line. And I just wanted to highlight that if someone wants to build a similar size factory from scratch today, it's easily 36-month job, if not 4 years. So the 10-month we are talking about is 25% of that time frame. So all the background work we have done, the machinery on floor, the process optimization, design engineering work, all that combined together is saving us a lot of time anyway. We are already late in our program, that we know, but that's separate subject. I think it's more of a startup challenge than anything else. Other than that, in terms of execution, I think we're going to move very fast going forward.
Get my microphone back on. Thank you for the answers, guys. Great answers. We have another question coming in. How have the batteries performed in the real world with Martac? Any feedback from them after their second order in the UK? Again, I think we're going to hand that one over to Shailesh, but I'm just going to add before he says anything that that's a great application and a very high order one for a lot of companies to make. Solving anything at sea with the amounts of vibration and the different temperature and climates that they are required to work in and be charged in is a very challenging exercise. But maybe you can pick that one up a little bit, Shailesh, because I know you've been working on that one.
Yeah, and as I always say, let our customers speak about our product and technology. So what I'm going to do is actually share my screen. And I have email from our customer here that was sent to us on 20th of August. And here is the report. They have submitted us a performance report. Of course, the report is very confidential, so I can't go through every piece of it, but I can definitely show you the summary here, and I'll read it. Given the above analysis, if all batteries are fully charged at the beginning of the mission, it is apparent that the C4V endurance batteries provide sufficient C2 and payload operation to exceed any configuration and number of propulsion batteries of all surface and getter mode operation. The key success is to ensure that all the batteries are fully charged at the beginning of the mission. So, I mean, this is mission critical application. I just share the feedback of customer directly with you. No cosmetic in their own language. It appears that we have done pretty good job by supplying these batteries for a very mission critical application. And after this report, we have received 2 more orders from them. So I'm hoping that they are very satisfied, and we are aiming to cater to them for all their future needs.
Just in case, am I on or off? I'm on. Just in case people didn't know, C4V is the partner company with IM3 New York, and they've been producing some sample products and some preliminary production products, and that's why the note talked about the batteries coming from C4V. We have not made production cells at IM3 NY yet, but we hope to move to that very quickly, as you all know. Ellen, thank you for Chaitanya. Let's see, we've got some more questions in here. Again, Karen, good to hear. Thanks. Thank you. Jason, let's see. Thank you for your open lines.
I think, Paul, there are no further questions. People are just thanking us. So that's great.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Continued support. And willingness. Fantastic feedback, people. Thank you very much for participating. Are there any other questions out there or thoughts that people would like to share before we bring this to a close tonight? And certainly, if you do have further comments or questions, there is a website set up for questions. I think we'll keep that open for a little while. And you're always welcome to contact me at IM3 New York. It's paul.stratton@IM3 New York. And I'll try and get answers back to you or get your question sent off to the appropriate person as fast as I can. Well, listen, thank you very much. Any words in closing from the IM3 group?
Let's go get them.
Loud and proud. Let's make it happen.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for listening.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for your participation and comments. Greatly appreciate it.
Really excited for this. Thanks a lot. Yeah, take care.